Here we go. Tiger Territory host and Tigers beat writer for The Athletic, Cody Stavenhagen, with us right now on FT. Cody, good to see you. This is the best record in Major League Baseball. You've done an awesome job covering them on Tiger Territory. So tell me what's new. What do you like and what's concerning lately?
It's been hard to have a lot that falls into the concerning category. I mean, the Tigers have been so good all the way around. Now, that doesn't mean they're perfect. There are a couple things we can talk about. I think the bullpen over the past 2 weeks to a month has maybe been the one area that's been leaking a little bit of oil. I'm sure we're probably going to ask, what do the Tigers need at the trade deadline? A high-octane swing and miss reliever would seem to be something that could help the Tigers. It's a little bit of a ball and play bullpen. They rank toward the bottom third in terms of at least strikeout percentage. Not necessarily a lot of swing and miss, even though there are some really good arms. But Tyler Holton was such a big part of the team last year. He hasn't quite been what he was the past 2 years. So the bullpen is one area. But in terms of what I like, I mean, gosh, what's not to like? Even, you're seeing the team have its starting pitching depth tested a little bit with some guys in the IL, Reese Olson, now Jackson Jobe. But you're still getting a lot of good quality performances. And the at-bat quality up and down the order seems to be really good night in and night out. It's not just the guys maybe you're hearing about, Spencer Torkelson. It's lesser guys up and down the lineup, or even someone like a young catcher, Dillon Dingler, who's having a fantastic year, putting himself in the all-star conversation. Like, the Tigers have formed this roster that is 13 guys deep, and so many of them have found ways to contribute. And they've done it over now a sustained period of time. I don't think you can say it as a fluke. So it's been impressive to watch.
Is this bullpen better or worse than it was last year from August 10th on? Because that and Tarek Skubal were what carried them to where they got to.
Yeah, right now in terms of just sheer performance, I think it's worse. Now, I think you have some arms who are pitching really well. Tommy Kahnle and Will Vest have been very good in the back end. Brant Herter has been terrific, but you want to compare it to, last August, last September, it was like it didn't matter who the Tigers were throwing out there. They were going to have some phenomenal outings. Bo Brisky pitched probably the best baseball of his life. The Tigers right now are still trying to get him kind of tuned a little bit more finely. I mentioned Tyler Holton. And then even the back end, you start looking at the 7-8 guys, John Brebbia. Like the ERA is okay, but the overall execution is probably not quite what the Tigers were hoping when they signed him. And they've had to funnel some guys in and out. Some of that's strategic. They aren't afraid to option a guy to get a better matchup for the series. But now you have a rookie in Dylan Smith in the back end of the bullpen. Overall, like, it's still a pretty good bullpen, but it's not quite maybe that dominant level we saw at the end of last year.
Let me ask you about Mr. Greene, man. Is this guy a superstar? Is this guy going to be big time? Talk to me a little about Mr. Greene.
Yeah, I mean, I think Riley Greene's one of the more underrated players in baseball right now. I think he's performing already at an all-star level. He was an all-star last year. He's right in that mix this season. He's coming off a terrific May. He had an 894 OPS, 24 RBIs in the month, which was the most he's ever had. And he's still only 24 years old, so I think there is superstar capability in there. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to, become Aaron Judge, but some of these names that are more household names, Julio Rodriguez, young outfielders like that, go look at the production, go look at the numbers over the past 3 years. Riley Greene is already right there, and he does still have room to get a little bit better. The chase has been really high. The swing and miss has been really high this year. Something that was encouraging about Riley coming into the season, his first 3 pro seasons, walk rate went up, strike rate went down. Hasn't quite, carried on that trend of this season. But again, he had kind of a rough April, had a really brutal slump, came out of it in a big way in May. He's been the centerpiece of the Tigers order, just kind of that dependable guy every day, and probably doesn't get quite enough credit for it more in the national scene.
All right, here's a bat that is close to superstar status in my mind. Kerry Carpenter. Question from Susie in our Chat BCC group. When will they stop platooning Kerry Carpenter? All caps in that one. I know that this team loves to platoon, make switches throughout the game. Do you think Kerry should just be in the lineup every single day?
You know, that's been like a hot topic around the Tigers universe for the past couple years because you look at what Kerry does against right-handed pitching and it's legitimately elite. It is up there with Aaron Judge, with Shohei Ohtani. Um, but I think you have to understand the pinch hitting, the platooning is very much in the Tigers' DNA. It is how the roster is built. It creates difficult decisions for opposing managers and how they're going to use their bullpen. We've seen a little bit more willingness to give Kerry some left-handed, left-on-left at bats, especially early in this season. The reality is it continues to not go that well. He's hitting 200 against lefties. The OPS is 594. There's, he has homered a couple times, but in general, there's not as much slug. He's never got consistent left-on-left at bats, but he's got 170 career plate appearances now. He's a 201 hitter against left-handed pitching. So the reality is, the more we see, the more it kind of makes sense. Now, I think Kerry's a great hitter. I think if I'm Kerry's agent, I'm like, we want to prove this guy is more than a platoon bat. But right now, you're on the best team in baseball, and what the Tigers are doing tends to work. I don't think we're going to see Kerry penciled in against lefties every day, anytime in the foreseeable future.
And I want to piggyback on that, and maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong, but you say that's not what the Tigers do. It's not what AJ Hinch does, because I think AJ Hinch manages games to win them and not to keep his job. Do you see that? Have you seen that since AJ Hinch has been here? Kind of, underperforming team, but now becoming the best record in baseball. Do you have that feeling, or is it the feeling that, well, you know what, platoons say this, so I'm going to go with that?
Yeah, that's a good point, Eric. And I think there is a difference from just kind of plug and play numbers to like AJ's really trying to create pressure and in-game decisions and really stressing the other dugout. You can dive deep into how he constructs his lineups, why Kerry Carpenter was hitting leadoff for a good chunk of the season until Parker Meadows got back. It was kind of to create a decision point the third time around the order. Kerry's up again. Are you sure you want to stick with that right-handed starter who's having a nice game? And we saw it lead to some favorable results. And in a way, it's like an aggressive style of managing. And it's kind of just now getting recognition, but AJ has done a lot of this for his entire time in Detroit. No one was really paying attention to the 2021 Tigers, who finished, I think, 58 and 53 or something that summer. They played really good in the second half. And that team did not have a lot of talent, but they do a lot of what these current Tigers do. Back then, that was before the offseason. The Tigers signed Javi Baez and Eduardo Rodriguez, and there's kind of this whole AJ's got the Tigers on the rise. The 2022 team tanked. It didn't work out. It took a little bit longer because Major League Baseball is really hard. But now I think kind of everyone across the league and fans across the country are getting a little more of an understanding of kind of what you said, Eric, the way AJ Hinch really manages baseball games.
Todd Father and I are from Jersey, so we're used to, I got a guy. But sometimes that just means when I'm looking for a car, I go to Car Gurus.
Yeah, and I think honestly the best part about this is communication, which we love here in Jersey where we're from. And this is a place where you can get a car. The price drops all the time, and they let you know when your car is ready and when you can get it. The communication part is the best thing for me, Scott.
Agreed. In-depth vehicle reviews. Car Gurus will connect you with trusted dealerships when you're ready, ensuring a transparent and hassle-free buying process. With over 4 million listings, they have more car listings than any other major online automotive marketplace in the U.S., so you can find the best deal. Buy or sell your next car today with Car Gurus at cargurus.com. Go to cargurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's CARGURUS.com. cargurus.com.
I think you hit it perfectly, because I've been telling people this when I broadcasted the first round last year, and I sat in his office and was talking to him, and I'm telling you, I didn't want to leave. And I talk to people on the show here. I move around a lot. I think I sat on that chair and I didn't move for 15 minutes. Just how he explains and dives into each game and who he wants to pitch where and who's going to hit where. But I think that's a testament to the team, because you might be a 9-hole hitter one day and then bat second the next. So that was kind of sort of my question about how good of a manager he is and how he does it. But my next question would be to you is, who's the guy in this clubhouse that's the leader? Because you got a lot of team guys that want to play together, that love this game, but who's the guy in there that's kind of just like, taking the team by storm a little bit and making sure everybody's in line?
Yeah, real quick on AJ, it is still a function of the roster, right? In Houston, he wasn't really platooning Yordan Alvarez, okay? So again, it's not just straight, oh, this guy's left-handed, he can't hit lefties. It is a reflection a little bit of the talent the Tigers have and how they're best trying to maximize their parts and what the front office has given him. In terms of the clubhouse, man, I kind of go back and forth when like who the leader is. And I think maybe that speaks to the fact they have a pretty strong, pretty well-rounded clubhouse. Last October, I would have said Matt Vierling. He was one of their more established veteran, quote-unquote veteran, still really young, but he had been in the postseason with the Phillies before. Well, Matt Vierling's been hurt all year. And I would have said Jake Rogers, who had a great year at catcher. This year, Jake's been hurt. He's kind of lost that number one role to Dillon Dingler. I think Jake's still a really strong, influential presence in this clubhouse. Vierling, even injured, has still been around. You've kind of seen, I think, some other guys take on that mantle. I think in the dugout, like who's the most hyped every day, that's probably Riley Greene. I mean, he's locked in, he's loud, he's cheering. But Gleyber Torres, I think, deserves a lot of credit. He was the veteran guy the Tigers brought in this winter, and you can just kind of feel the stabilizing presence of Gleyber. He's been almost a different player in some ways than he was on the Yankees, where he was, among a long list of bigger names. I don't know if he was called upon or if it was appropriate for him to be a leader in the Yankees clubhouse. Coming to Detroit, I feel like everyone can kind of feel that veteran presence. He has a close relationship with Javi Baez, and maybe there's been some rub off there. And then even, just his kind of example, his consistency, the quality of at bat. I think younger guys have taken notice of the overall professionalism. I'm not sure he's maybe the most vocal about it, but I've been really impressed by kind of the subtle leadership style of Gleyber Torres.
You brought up Dillon Dingler, and as a catcher, I'd be remiss to not talk about him here. Is it going to be something that we're just kind of riding that high of Dillon Dingler? Because, some of his hitting metrics will say he swings at a lot of pitches, so when he starts chasing, some of his numbers are going to go down. His defense is really good, but Jake Rogers is healthy now, and his defense is really good. Or is it the fact that he plays for a team in Michigan and he went to Ohio State, and so they're never really going to accept him?
Yeah. I think Dingler has quickly gotten a lot of Tigers fans to overlook, that degree, right? You raise a really good point. I'll be honest. I'm very surprised by what Dillon Dingler has done at the plate. I thought this guy was a really good defensive catcher. I thought there was a little bit of pop in the bat. Thought he'd be like a nice compliment. Him and Jake would be a good one too. Right now, Dillon Dingler's hitting close to 300. He's, hitting the ball with power, and he's been doing it all season long. I definitely was also like, well, he's off to a hot start. This is great. He'll probably come back to earth. He's not walking enough, whatever. Well, he's still not walking a lot. He's walked, I think, 4 times all season. But this guy connects, even if maybe there's a little bit of chase. The at-bat quality is pretty good. AJ Hinch said the other day, like, what if this is just who he is? And now hitting 290 to 300 with power for a catcher is a really, really high bar. If you're not Cal Raleigh or until this year Adley Rutschman, like, that's a hard thing to do. There are not many of those guys. But I think Dingler might be for real. Like, I think this is going to be one of the better hitting catchers in the game. We've seen it for nearly half a season. I'm starting to be won over that, like, it's not just a fluke. He can really produce at the plate.
On the same token here, All-Stars, the ballots are just coming out. Do you think you should be an All-Star consideration? And who else on the squad do you think should get a consideration as the year is going forward here?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see because the Tigers, I mean, they have the best record in baseball, so it's well-deserved. They have a long list of all-star candidates. Tarek Skubal, I think you can count as a lock. You just go look at numbers among AL second baseman. I think Gleyber Torres might just be a lock. Dillon Dingler, really compelling all-star case. I'm not sure enough people realize it yet. On Fangraphs, I think he's third in wins above replacement when it comes to AL catchers. Baseball Reference, he might be second, so he's behind Cal Raleigh, who should be the all-star starter. And it's kind of Dingler and Carlos Narvaez, and if we're just going on strictly merit and not fan vote, Whoever has the better June, might be deserving to be an all-star. Dingler is right there. That's how good he has been. You look across the diamond, Spencer Torkelson has a great case. Riley Greene, we talked about. He's playing it close to that level. In the bullpen, I think Will Vest, Tommy Canley have cases. Casey Mize has a good June. He's got a case. There's some guys who have cooled off a little bit. Zach McKinstry, Javi Baez, who even 2 weeks ago we would have been like, they're all-stars. So I think the Tigers are like I think Skubal and Torres are locks, and then it's like, well, what could the total number of guys be? 4, 5, 6? Like, seems entirely possible. There's a little bit of baseball left to play. We'll see how much the fan support kind of rallies around these guys, but a lot of dudes playing at a really high level.
Cody, which team in the division do you think is the biggest threat to make a run at the Tigers for the AL Central at some point this season? I mean, obviously, if we talked about the Tigers even for another couple months into last year, we'd be like, yeah, they pretty much suck, but they traded away some dudes at the deadline. It is what it is. So a lot can change in the next couple months, right? We can go to August and you could be like, oh, wow, this team really came on strong. Which one do you think that could be upside-wise?
Yeah, it's hard to say. The Guardians are just so pesky and scary that you never want to write them off, although the run differential would hint that maybe things aren't necessarily going to correct for them. So I'm not writing off the Guardians fully, but I think if I had to choose one team, it would be the Minnesota Twins. Like, they've played pretty good baseball without Royce Lewis getting going at all. The high-end talent and the pitching in Minnesota is still there. I think if there's a team that could really catch fire, I'd go with the Twins.
One more for you. What about the Royals? Do you think the Twins and the Guardians are a step ahead of the Royals from what you've seen so far? My counter is, I don't feel like we've seen the best baseball from Bobby Witt Jr. yet, and now you have a guy that just came up who could hit and be a 40 homer power threat in their lineup right from the jump.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, there are a lot of young hitters who struggle, and I think Jack Caglianone's going to have a terrific career, but like, is he going to turn around their season instantly? I just wouldn't want to put that on any young player, on any team. But yeah, if you would have asked me in February, like, who is your AL Central favorite, I think I would have said the Kansas City Royals. And so you're onto something, Scott, in that they haven't really played their best baseball. Maybe Bobby Witt hasn't even played. Salvador Perez hasn't really caught fire yet. Some of the numbers aren't necessarily the most encouraging thing for the Royals, but yeah, that's still a good team that maybe hasn't played its best ball yet. I think that's a totally fair argument.
Cody, one last one. We've talked all this. The Tigers have the best record in the American League. Yes or no? Or, yeah, are the Tigers the best team in the American League?
I think so. I mean, I think they're the most complete team right now. It's hard to say they're better than the New York Yankees based on the names, based on the talent. But you start talking about the pitching, you start talking about the depth, you start talking about what could happen at the trade deadline. I feel like the Tigers right now are the most well-rounded team in the American League. They just got Parker Meadows back, and he's a pretty dynamic, electric player, Gold Glove caliber defense in center field. That might be the type of thing that puts them over the top if Meadows hits it all like he did in the second half of last season. So I think it's probably close, but yeah, I think they are right now.
Kratz, final line here. Tell Cody what you texted me about how ironic it would be if something happened. I don't think it'll happen, but bring it up.
Wouldn't it be ironic if the Twins, the team you're afraid of, catches the Tigers this year after the Tigers caught the Twins? They'll start thinking about it when the Tigers have a 4-game series where they lose 3 of 4, because that will happen. Sorry, Tiger fans. I'm not negative Nelly here. I'm just saying it happens to the best teams. So that added pressure will be fun to watch these young players deal with.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of ball left to play. That's another thing AJ Hinch said recently. You're feeling so good, everything's going so well, and then you look up and there's about 100 games left on that schedule. So there's a lot still to be decided.
Very true. Cody, great to have you on. Everyone check out Tiger Territory. There is a recent episode on the Dillon Dingler All-Star case, among many other great episodes to check out. You're getting 3 a week there from Cody, Kieran, and Austin Jackson appearances on the show as well. Thanks, Cody. Talk to you soon, man.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.